The right man can go into any situation with a woman, no matter what it is, no matter if it's her house or not. If you understand that men lead, we don't lead by desire. I think that's the narrative feminism pushed, that men are out here having chest beating contests saying we're in charge. I promise you, I was raised by a Nigerian man and I'm not even like that. I think men lead by expectation. If we're sitting down trying to chill, saying I don't even want to do it right now, you'll notice if it's a leader, something involving leadership, it won't get done, or it won't get done correctly until you eventually step up and do it. So I think that is what is expected from most men, especially in situations where it involves a woman. That's why it's actually deemed as disrespect when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and a woman is still trying to exercise any kind of power or control in the situation. That's why I said most men who know how to call it out and move swiftly and quickly tell a woman, like, hey, that's not how this is going down. I'm not going to be doing this. And you do. Most men have not been educated nor trained by their own fathers to say you don't accept that type of behavior, because not even that it's just disrespectful, it's bad for the woman. Whenever a woman steps into that role, she's out of place. And the worst part about it, she'll start to lose respect for you because of what you let her do. So don't let her do that to you, right? She will feel perfectly at home in her feminine space, like my man is going to take care of it. He said he was going to do it. That is where women thrive, in that space. So let her stay there, and if she happens to mosey on into your space, put her ass back in hers. It's better for the relationship.
So Trigger Mike, I 100% agree with you. I think that a lot of times, right, when men get in relationships and they allow that dynamic to occur, those be the relationships we see that get divorces, right? Those be the miserable married men we see because they not respected in their home. Like, we show love and respect differently, right? So we interpret respect as love, and women interpret love as love, or attention rather, right? So when she's in a position where she can talk down to you and not look up to you in any way, shape, or form, she's losing respect for you, which in turn equals losing love. And now that potential for her to want to see somebody else or just think that this ain't the right thing, it heightens, right? And you'll end up in this 50-50 divorce rate culture. But yeah, and as a man, you can potentially, depending on the type of man, most men, you can potentially start to harbor resentment towards her, and maybe end up in a situation where you look to somebody else that may praise you, right? So it's a fishy dynamic. I think you're 100% right with the change in economy, right? So it's not just industrialization, post-industrialization, when men aren't physically doing the labor, and a lot of the heavy lifting can be done mentally or through computers, and women have the opportunity to get educated and make more money. That dynamic is always going to have the ability to change and shift. In the new world, if we would like to still have family, women will have to agree to those terms of he's still going to be a man regardless, or I'm not going to date him.
Well, I think it's all about showing and proving. If you say that you're a man, then you have to be the man, right? The only time a woman can run or lead anything, like run a household, or what's the saying, wear the pants, is if you take them off. Both of us can't fit in the pants. So I know it's in our nature to test, and part of that testing is to see if you are going to be who you say you are. Now, anytime you shift, now, unless you're a very mature, person, to, just be respectful regardless. But I think the younger you are, the less mature you are, you're learning and developing into that. But again, whether you, like you said, your manhood is not determined by how much money you make, right? It's about how you carry yourself, how consistent you are. Do you show up like you say you're going to show up? Do you do what like you say you're going to do? How you're moving, like all of those things. As women, we're looking at that. Are you going to be a protector? If you lose your job right now, how does that shift your position as a man? Do you stop doing everything now? You know what I'm saying? So if you maintain the same consistency, regardless of what happens, then I don't think a woman will lose respect for you. or switch it up or now try to jump in and take over because there's no space for her to do that. Is when the man loses his focus and where what his role is and his position is in the relationship, that women are able to step in and do, take over.
So
So
I
go ahead.
thanks, AP. I agree with you, mistaken. I think unfortunately the number of women that function like that is dwindling, right? I think with fatherless homes, there is a majority of women that don't know how to take that back seat, how to not wear the pants. And when they're with a man who wants to wear the pants, they become really combative. So they wind up choosing men who opt out of wearing pants, right? I think that's really when it becomes tricky, when women don't know how to give up control. Some women get really impatient. Some women feel really insecure when they're not in control. Some women get really fearful. Some women feel like they're going to be taken advantage of. I think a lot of women have not had it as an example and have also not been taught how to sit in that. And I think that is like just as problematic as the men who let their women wear pants, right? I think it's both parties that are really struggling because things haven't been modeled and they're not taught.
Yeah. I'll say this to add to that. That is such an oversimplification of what is happening. So I look at myself as the consummate, like textbook leader, right? Was raised to be husband style. Don't take no shit off of a woman. This is what your wife's supposed to be doing for you. I was educated to this whole ordeal, right? But I still have ran into and dated for an extensive period of time women that were non-compliant because you're going through that honeymoon phase. You're not really talking about anything serious. And do you know what leaders do with those women? We eventually leave them. Well, I can't be with you. How are you going to make it hard for me to do my job as a leader? That's why. So most men do not end up, I'm sorry, men that are leaders, true leaders, don't end up with women like that because I remember saying many times on this panel, we are always talking about, well, if a man is just a leader, a woman will follow. That's actually an oversimplification. When good leaders choose great followers as well. We actually look for situations in which we can succeed. If I'm looking at a woman like, damn, this woman listen well. She make me look good out here in these streets. She takes my instruction and immediately implements it to what I want to do with our kid. So we choose women that execute on a level in that makes it almost look seamless, right? Because if I could have chose a lot of women that would have gave me a lot of problems, and I might even be divorced today if I'd have made those bad decisions.
I think one of the worst parts of that, Trigger Mike, is the men who had a skill set possibly to fix the women who are the most to the other end of the spectrum of what we speaking of, combative or contentious, usually end up with the easiest going women because they have to pick a. That's really, really messed up how society work out that way. But it's what's happening,
But
right?
you know what it is though, and when I say I've messed with some, because remember when we're young, it's exciting, it's sexy. She feisty. We give it all type of words. But then when your dad show up to your apartment, say, I need to talk to you about this girl, man. you said, I was like, oh, this is real. This is real. He doesn't like her. I thought he was just hating on her. No, he's giving me play-by-play details about how this will work out once we have children, once we start acquiring assets. He's giving me play-by-play. This is what these women tend to do. She is going to give you problems at every turn. It's not just going to fall off, and marriage isn't going to make it easier. So most men realize that, damn, if I want to win the game of life with my companion, I have to choose a pleasant, easygoing, good listener, willing to follow my leadership, willing to follow all of that. So it's an all-inclusive experience. You got to pick the right girl for that.